went and played a sold out show, and it wasn't my friends that were in the crowd, and I was like, Jesus, this is crazy. All these people, I got one over on all these people, and it was only like 100 people, but it was a pretty big deal for me.
I'm Adam, and I appreciate you doing this, man.
Hey, thank you, Adam.
This is about you, your journey in music, and of course, we'll talk about the record and the new reimagined version of the record, the live version you guys did.
Cool.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, all right. Oh, all right. As that Colin was going to say something. Cool. We'll just rock and roll into it. So talk to me about where were you born and raised?
I'm from Athens, Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're in Nashville now? Is that what I saw?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I live in the area as well. So that was cool.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. I actually recently moved here from California, San Diego.
I don't think you're alone in that.
I know. What's crazy is we moved here February of last year.
Okay.
And like everyone I was running into, they're like, oh, yeah, of course you're from California. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? And then like there's this whole surge of people that were moving here from California that I honestly had no concept that was even a thing that was happening until I got here.
Yeah, we apparently it's like the fastest growing city, one of the fastest growing in the country. So it's been a wild transformation since I've got here.
Yeah. I'm sure you're looking at it like, oh, okay, get out of here. But
everything's good by me, man.
Right on. Well, talk to me about growing up in Alabama. What was that like?
It was a pretty small town. It's another one of those places that's getting bigger by the day, but it was very close-knit community, and one of those southern towns with a church on every corner. So we were a dry county up until fairly recently, so there was no no bars, or couldn't buy booze or anything like that. So the exposure to music was pretty limited. I think booze and music go pretty hand in hand.
Or like bars that you could probably play at, early on.
Like yeah, we never had any of that. Like the closest we had was there was like a church youth group coffee shop that would do like a coffee house thing on like one Wednesday a month or something, and all the kids that were in bands would show up and play that. So yeah, it was just kind of like a musical desert. It's odd being like that close to Muscle Shoals and things like that, but I don't know, for me, I was just willing to kind of absorb anything I could get my hands on back then. So I was working at the local Sam Goody and all that growing up.
Oh, really? That's cool. The Sam Goody, man. I haven't heard that name in a minute. So I did see or read that you're from a pretty musical household, though. I mean, having not many places maybe to see it, but like in the church, it was huge for you and your family, right?
Yeah, I was there every time the doors were open, and was always in some kind of choir or some kind of performance of some type, and I still to this day am I'm a huge lover of gospel music and all of its various forms, and I don't know, it seems to be like the consistent thing I can always come back to and kind of recharge the batteries. I've definitely been in that frame for quite a few months now.
I'm sure that was probably the first places you were able to perform. I mean, especially like with music and
yeah. It was, my mom was the piano player, and so I was, kind of always just around those kind of classic hymnals, and my grandparents were, really into, Everly Brothers and Floyd Kramer and all that kind of now classic Nashville sounding gospel records.
Oh, cool.
So that definitely seeped in very heavy.
Yeah. Did you pick up piano at an early age? Was that something you started playing when you were young? I mean, due to your mom playing?
Yeah, mom was the player of the family, and we were living with my grandparents for a little while when I was younger, um, and I had, taken up guitar and was all kind of pretty self-taught and had a rudimentary understanding of music and theory, and she's always played just by sight. She can, sight read Beethoven if she needs to. And
Oh, wow.
I was trying to learn, like, hey mom, what's a D chord or something on the piano? She's like, I don't know what a chord is. So it was this, like, she couldn't, we weren't speaking the same language when it comes to
Right,
music.
right.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. But you were playing guitar. When did you start playing guitar?
I think I probably started somewhere in around the fifth grade. I don't know how old you are
Okay,
around
about
then,
10,
but
11 years old.
something like that. Yeah. And
Okay.
I was the kid, uh, my folks split up when I was pretty young. So, all of I would go to each of their houses like every other week. So I was literally carrying a Marshall half stack on a dolly to school with me so I could transport it back and forth.
Oh, wow.
It
You
was a
didn't want to
pain.
go with the combo amp?
No, man, not back then. Absolutely not. Bigger is
Right.
better.
For sure. It's funny to think about like 15, maybe even longer now, years ago, like the half stack was the thing. Like if you're going to play anywhere, a venue or whatever, it was always like, got to get the half stack, got to have the head. And like now you'll see people on stage with just like a little combo amp. That sounds amazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've resorted all the way down to, taking out these digital units, and like, man, my back hurts. I'm tired of carrying this heavy shit around.
Right, exactly. Well, that's awesome. I saw also that you wrote a song really early. You're pretty young and performed like an original song at your school.
Yeah, we our like middle school talent show. We me and my friends, we had had a band, and yeah, I wrote a song for that, and I can't really recall what it was, but it was no doubt incredible. And
No,
it was,
no recording of it anywhere.
there might be a VHS tape somewhere in the archives, but I'm in
Okay.
no hurry to go dig that up. But I do remember they were only going to give us one song to play, and we, as the rebellious young men that we were, decided to hell, we're going to play Freebird too.
Did you
And
really?
oh hell yeah, yeah. I don't think we were. I think we were able to get like the lyric part done, but I don't think we were competent as musicians enough to really get that, to really nail that ending.
To handle, yeah, to handle that solo there at the end.
Yeah.
But still, that's funny to go into Freebird like that. Yeah, that's great.
Nevertheless, we didn't win. So yeah,
Really, even with an original song.
even with it.
Because that's pretty impressive. I mean, especially seventh grade going and then going up there in front of all your peers, which I always find is funny when people tell me that their first performance was like, oh, yeah, the first time I ever sang was at the school talent show. I'm like, that's the people you're going to see every day for probably at least the next 5, 6 years. Like, I would think going into a coffee shop to 20 people that you maybe have never met or will ever will see would be a lot easier. Like, first gig.
Yeah, well, I've definitely done my fair share of those, but when your social standing in middle school isn't too high, you don't have anywhere to go but up. So
There you go.
rock and roll may help things out.
Did you continue like after you wrote that first song and did the seventh grade talent show? Was that something that you just kind of got the bug and just kept writing from there on out?
Yeah, it was, being that there wasn't any place to like play, and God bless my friends at the time, that I just kind of conned them all into buying instruments, so that nobody really had the deep passion to get out there and play. So for me, everything was always kind of revolving around recording, and
Okay.
so I always just wanted to make records, and um, was just fascinated with that. And then it just so happens that, to be able to record something, you have to have a song to record. So, kind of everything that I've done, in life has always stemmed back to to getting to record it.
Okay. And was that something you were like, did you buy like a 4-track early on, or like how'd you start recording?
Yeah, I've got it. I actually still have it. It's a Tascam Porta One sitting over
Wow.
there. Yeah, little 4-channel tape recorder.
So you
And
started when did you start using that? Like in high school or?
um yeah, that was probably like 8th grade, something around the middle school. And you know, and that was kind of right when um I guess probably like home computers were starting to become a thing too. So, we would drive to the uh, Barnes and Noble or whatever the bookstore was, and I would, buy all these like mix magazines, and there'd be all these, huge consoles, and I'd be like, "There's a computer there," and somehow they're getting the sound in the computer,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was just like, there was no, YouTube to learn any of this shit, and
Sure.
so yeah, seeing all these like boxes of gear, and you're like, I think you plug cords into the back of them, and oh, sorry, somebody's trying to interfere with me, but hopefully this
Okay.
is still running.
Yeah, I didn't even hear anything.
Okay, good deal. Um, but yeah, I was just always just so fascinated with gear, and just how to make all of it work, and how to make you know that tape sound like a Michael Jackson record whenever I would go play it in the car. And yeah, that's a pursuit that I still haven't gotten there yet.
Were you like when you record yourself on these tapes, was it something you pass out at school, or kind of, or were they all kind of just for you?
uh you know I think I played one during like a, I don't know, some kind of like class presentation or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned my lesson. I was like, I'm never doing this again. That was terrifying and awful. And it's just some tiny little speaker from 1999. And I'm like, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore.
You went to school where in Murfreesboro, right?
Yeah,
To learn how to record.
Mm-hmm.
Was
Yeah,
that right out of high school? Did you go to college there?
yeah, I went there. I guess I was 17 whenever we did that, and my parents like, you've got to go to college, or you're just going to end up being a loser. And so I found out that you could go to school to sit in a recording studio, and I was like, well, if that's how we're going to play this, I'll teach you.
Right, there you go.
And yes, I did that, and yeah, it was a good experience. I learned at least just the technical proficiency to be dangerous with what I was doing. And met some of my really close friends that I still work with quite a bit.
Wow. Were you playing out in Nashville at all around that same time, or were you mainly focused just on learning the recording process?
Yeah, I was kind of just playing anywhere that they would have me.
Okay.
And there was luckily there was a few hotel basements that were doing kind of open mic nights and stuff like that. And then I was working at a studio down on Music Row that's no longer there, for my friend Daniel. And was just like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. That same studio is where they recorded the Budweiser frog commercial.
Really?
Yeah, so I found the tapes for that in the basement, and I was like,
That's crazy.
What a claim to fame this place is.
That's amazing. That's really funny. So you're out working there, still doing the thing, and you put an EP out, right, under a different name.
Yeah, I put a few things out there. That was just kind of always I don't know. They're kind of like, I guess, business cards to let you go play a show. That was
Okay.
You had to have something if you wanted to go travel the Southeast and play to nobody. You at least had to have some credentials, I guess, going in to do that. And
So that you knew how to play something.
yeah, it's like, please believe me, I can do this.
Okay. And with that, when did you end up, switching it to Anderson East and putting out a record, or like when did that transformation happen?
Uh, I guess I was still in college
Okay.
doing that, and yeah, I've just always kind of tried to build up some kind of emotional distance between myself to at least be I don't know, to be a little more comfortable or be a little more honest in some kind of twisted approach.
Okay. And what would you say like the first kind of big moment for you, or when did you like start seeing your career really happen?
Um, I don't really know if there was like a defining moment.
Okay.
I think I played. I guess it was right before um, Delilah came out, and we were playing the basement, the OG basement here in town, and
Okay.
um, yeah, it was like I went out to dinner and like signed the paperwork for a record deal, and then
Okay.
went and played a sold out show, and it wasn't my friends that were in the crowd, and I was like, Jesus, this is crazy. All these people, I got one over on all these people, and it was only like 100 people, but it was yeah, pretty big deal for me. That was pretty
That's
nuts.
huge, though. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you attracted the attention of the label before signing the contract. Was that on that first record that you'd done?
Yeah, that was we kind of just went ahead and made that record without kind of any plans. Again, just like the business card to go out and play
Mhm.
shows, and yeah, it just kind of it worked out, and some people liked it enough to take a shot on us. So
Landed with the right people.
yeah, yeah.
And you did what? You did it in two halves, or there's two, one recorded in Nashville, one in LA?
Oh no, that was another project before the
Oh,
yeah, and
okay.
yeah, that was super fun. That was kind of the first like actually going outside of like whatever my immediate means were at the time to make something, and it was super cool. Got to play with some amazing guys. Um, some of the guys from Counting Crows were on that, and Rob
Wow.
Wasserman played bass, and Don Huffington played drums, and like Waddy Wattell played guitar. So it was just like, wow, I'm actually around people that are legit doing it, and and so it was a great experience. It was a big learning experience, and definitely poked a lot of holes in um, kind of just my craft and what I was trying to accomplish. So it was good. It was a good learning experience.
Was it intimidating being around, people that had been doing it for a while? Like, I mean, the guys from County Crows, like, etc.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely terrifying being, you know, 19 years old and in a city that's for me incredibly uncomfortable uh and then just around these like real heavy hitters, and so it was definitely intimidating, but everybody was incredibly welcoming and really kind and uh really complimentary, and it gave me the encouragement to keep pushing on with it.
Sure. Wow. And once you sign, like you're telling us about you signed the deal and you have a sold out show at the basement. Once you sign this record deal, what changed from there? Like, moving forward, like, okay, I signed the paperwork, it's a deal. Like, how do you like, what kind of lands with that?
um I think the for me you know uh I've never been kind of like the radio artist, so I was a little scared to um kind of jump into all that, but what it ultimately ended up was providing us the opportunity to go on the road and stay on the road and um have support there until we got our feet underneath us, and so that's kind of really where I started figuring things out was playing you know 200 shows a year for
Hmm.
the next 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah. Wow. And with the second, what would you say like a milestone would be from that next record, Encore?
um yeah, it was kind of, just the progression of playing to where you're uh you're doing every kind of opening slot you can get
Mhm.
with anyone that'll take you. And then, I think that was kind of the first like major like headline tour, and the anxiety and fear of like you're sitting backstage before the show going, is anybody going to show up to this? Like, what are we doing here? In some just random town halfway across the country, you're like, there's no way. And then you walk out there and there's actually people there. And um, yeah, it was kind of just an odd realization that, I don't know, that I guess that like it was at least resonating with some folks, and enough
Mhm.
for them to spend their nights with us.
Do you still kind it sounds like you kind of had like an imposter syndrome type situation, like deal going on where, you'd get to a town, you're like, is anyone even going to show up here? Like, do you still kind of have that fear at
Oh
all or
yeah.
no? Oh,
Oh
really? Okay.
yeah. Yeah. um yeah, it's like I don't know, I'm not like uh, kind of a throw and go kind of guy. Like I like to be uh hyper prepared and feel like I've uh done all the groundwork before I get to any kind of situation. And
Mhm.
um but uh yeah, I'm going, I especially coming up in Nashville and being around all the people that I was and still am, like they're the best. Like, like like literally you can go like walk down the street and see like the best guitar player like on the planet, like the best songwriters are here, like the best producers are here. Like, so when you're walking around, like I don't have any business being around these people. And so, your Uber driver's a probably better songwriter than you are. And
Doubtful, but I see what you're saying.
I mean, there was a bartender, down at this joint we used to go to, that, I mean, could literally mop the floor with anybody. And it's just like, just there slinging Budweisers all night. And so, yeah, it's just kind of, I've just tried to, be able to hold my own, and, and, you know, feel like I can at least, hang in
Mhm.
whatever situation that I get presented with.
Sure. And with like what would you say? I mean, you said you were playing 200 shows a year for the next five years or so. When you look at where were you when 2020 happens, the world shuts down. 'Cause I know you put out Maybe We Never Died last year, and then obviously this new version of it I want to talk to you about. So like
Mm.
where were you at when that happened, and how did that then lead into that record? Or were they songs you wrote during that period, or were they done prior?
Yeah, it was a little mix of both.
Okay.
Uh, we had started a couple months before everything went down. I mean, the way we kind of normally make records is like we'll go on tour for a couple months and then have a week or two at home. And so when we're home for those 2 weeks is when we would usually be making the record, and then we'd go back out. And so like this time, like we were literally on a cruise the like week before all the lockdowns and everything happened.
Oh, wow.
We were
Good
playing.
thing you got off a cruise ship, because
Yeah.
those are the ones that were stuck out
Yeah,
there.
that was like that Diamond Princess thing where like we
Yeah,
were on a boat, like watching the news about this other boat being trapped at sea and all this shit.
that's crazy.
So anyways, we were kind of doing that back and forth. And then, I was thinking that the record was getting, somewhat done.
Mhm.
And then, we were working out of the small room over at Southern Ground. And then like literally the world just turned off like one afternoon. And so I was like, well, I guess we're gonna put a pause on making this record. I don't, because we still had shows lined up. We were supposed to be like, oh, we got like 2 weeks, and we'll, you know, be back out there, and then we'll finish this thing back up. And 2 weeks turned into 2 months, and excuse me, we're just still writing. And finally, I was like, you know what? I was writing all these songs that were like oddly foreshadowing everything, and then once it all kind of culminated, I was like, well, fuck this. I gotta write some just happy stuff, or just something that makes me like excited, and uh, you know, get my mindset away from the realities, of the situation. And so, just kind of like stuck. I had a little room up at RCA and was just, in there just like tinkering stuff, like, sounds I could make like right in front of me, just because you couldn't be around people. So
Mm-hmm.
we started kind of just taking that approach of like, um, you know, the writing process ended up turning into the recording process. And then we tried to, do this back and forth dance of trying to, you know, reintroduce some humanity into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was an odd, it was an odd experience making that record, and kind of uncomfortable at times, just because I didn't necessarily have that skill set that one needs, like making that kind of record. And so I was having to learn all this new stuff, which was great. And but yeah, that's kind of that whole dance of making something in an isolated kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what like led into the idea of then doing this Fame Studios record?
Yeah. So we went down pretty much like when when all like the lockdowns and everything lifted and people were starting to relax a little more. It was just a selfish thing for me. I was like, man, I just miss being in a studio with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking. I was like, well, what do you want to do? Should we just do like I don't know, like acoustic version of something, or what? And Dave was just like, hey man, let's go down to Fame and just recut this thing in an afternoon. It's like, hell yeah, sign me up. So
Wow.
we just went down there and cut, all 11 or 12 songs that day. And it was great. It was like, oh, I've missed this so much. Just, being around such great people and great musicians, and in such a place that I love and respect so much. It was just kind of like a reintroduce ourselves back into the world again. So it was really fun. It was really great, and yeah, really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, I mean the record sounds amazing. Was the first like when you put it out, not the first one, but the version that wasn't recorded at Fame Studio, you said that was done pretty much all. Was it all done remotely? Like you'd write something and send it, and like you said, the back and forth dance, was that how the entire record was finished?
um I mean, there was like uh our keyboard player Phil. He helped produce it along with Dave and myself. And so we would all kind of get together for a day and kind of work on like a little roadmap of what we were doing. And then Phil and I would kind of you know bounce things back and forth off each other. And then we get a couple tunes under our belt, and then we all just kind of meet back up again and assess what the damage was, and then kind of add and reduce things. Um, and and then yeah, we would do kind of like we did everything slightly backwards. So like drums and bass were pretty much the last thing on the record.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting, especially with timing and everything.
it was really hard, because I was doing a lot of programming and just manipulating things on my own. And so, and again, I wasn't very good at it. So I was just having these super uh, waving, like you'd still be working and say like, like an 8-bar phrase.
Mm-hmm.
And, within that 8 bars, it was moving a lot, around the beat, but it was moving a lot in a very predictable manner. And so once you'd kind of, written the song and kind of gotten some basic tracks going, you're stuck in that little time, the regularity of the time. And so it was this really interesting thing of like, coming back with actual drums and getting it all to make sense within this kind of loose but very rigid framework we'd already built.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, it was definitely a learning curve making it all work. But I think at the end of the day, like it still comes out feeling human.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the goal.
With those songs, was the F.A.M.E Studios was the first time you had performed them all together, like in a live setting? And was it hard to kind of
Yeah.
translate what you had been doing, all kind of not all over the place, but all virtually, and then meet back together, and then go apart and meet back together, and now you got to come up with a record or how to play the whole record through together? Not only that, you did it in an afternoon.
Yeah, we were joking the whole time. I was like, "Damn, it's super easy to make a record once you've done it the first time."
Yeah. Well, yeah, even that though, I mean, to think 12 songs and the way it was kind of done, it wasn't like, okay, you played a song, you're like, okay, here's the first song, and kind of banged it out that way. But then to have the whole band together and set it all up in that setting, that's been really incredible.
Yeah, that's just kind of a testament to really how Dave Cobb works. And that's pretty much how, all the other records were made, was just, human beings sitting in the same room with each other. And, after, 2 or 3 takes of it, you pretty much got it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you're at least, not having to change arrangement, to, uh, perfect like the song structure or anything, that's the things that usually takes the most time. But, if you already have that stuff ironed out, then you can just go play.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just, trying to be conscious and aware of just how things feel, and then just, having the discipline enough to know when you got it.
Mm-hmm. Is that kind of like having trust, obviously, in someone like Dave Cobb, who's a legend, going, okay, that was a great take, or that works?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's rare to find that kind of trust in people. And
Mm-hmm.
but with him, we've been friends for long enough to where uh, I can fully respect and listen to his opinion. Um, the band Rival Sons, like it's like one of my favorite stories is, and one of my favorite songs. I think it's Jordan. I think that's the name of the song, but it's incredible, and the vocal performance is just absurd. And that's the first take, like the whole thing, first take.
Whoa.
And Jay, you know, has said that, it's like he wanted to do it again, to really get in there and explore. And Dave was like, "No, you're done." And Jay's one of the best singers ever too. So, to just be like that, just aware of a performance is really something.
Yeah. Wow. Just no, you're not doing it again. Sorry, that was perfect. I mean, I guess you got to take the guy's, word for it, obviously.
Yeah.
Wow. I have just a couple more questions. I'm curious. You said that you're writing more like, down songs. I mean, I don't know if you use the word down, but you said like you got to a place where you wanted to write more like upbeat, like happy-ish sounding songs. Like how far into the record were you? And like, do you remember what song kind of you wrote that changed that? Like the first one, you're like, oh yeah, this is more upbeat.
Yeah, it was Falling was the song that kind of just like we took a different turn and was like, let's just do something fun.
Okay.
And it was mainly just me and my buddy Trent Dabbs. We're just sitting around, one night, and yeah, that thing just kind of fell out by accident. And I don't even think either one of us thought that, like, I don't know, it was like a record song. It was just like, let's just make something so we don't go crazy today. And then, we were listening back to it. I was like, damn, I really like this song. Like, I think
Right.
it's actually good, and so we, just kind of tweaked on it a little more, and a majority of everything on that track was just from, that evening of us just, sitting in that closet, just tinkering away and drinking whiskey and just crossing our fingers.
Yeah, no, you did a great job, man. That's a rad song. And with the Fame Studio thing, you have some features on it. I mean, just right off the bat, you have Vance Joy on the first song,
Foy
and
Vance.
oh,
Close.
Foy Vance. I'm sorry. Yeah, who I've actually recently interviewed, and I don't know why I said Advanced Joy, but yeah, Foy Vance, who's an incredible songwriter and
Yeah.
singer. Tell me about getting. Was he actually there with you, or is that something that you punched in?
Yeah, that one, he lives in Scotland, so I just
Mhm.
sent him that track and was like, please sing on this, and he was very, very gracious. And yeah, Foy's been like, he's been an incredible friend, but he's like one of my musical heroes. I love him to death, and I think he's one of the greatest singers and writers ever. And yeah, I met him like 10, probably over 10 years ago now, and it was right when his record Hope came out, and
Okay.
we were at this like folk festival in Canada, and I was just pretty much just like fanboyed in him, and I was like, man, I'm going to be your friend. I don't know what else to tell you. And so, and he like, we sat around and drank and talked that whole night, and then he was like, hey man, I'm playing the show tomorrow, come be in my band. And I was
Oh
like,
wow.
what? This is nuts. So yeah, he had never heard me sing or play or anything, and I just said yeah. And so, and here we are, fast forward all that time.
That's incredible. Yeah, he's such a fun like chat. I mean, I talked to him for a long time. Like he has some crazy stories about it. Like Ed Sheeran, like seeing him when he was like 12, 13 years old, and like obviously he's on his label now, and I guess
Mhm.
Ed Sheeran told him like I'll put out every one of your records. Like he's that big of a fan of his, and just
Yeah.
said, I don't care what you do, whatever you want to do. If it's, I'm not looking at sales, nothing. Like
Yep.
I love your songwriting, and I'm going to put out any record that you ever want to release. And I was
Yep.
like, wow.
I've gotten big love for Ed for just that reason, to make sure that he's always got an avenue to make whatever he wants, and he hasn't disappointed thus far.
No, I know that's the thing too. It's like he probably will never put out a bad record, but
Yeah.
the fact that he doesn't even have to worry, like you have like the biggest star on the planet right now telling you, do whatever the hell you want. Like I
Yeah.
got you.
Amazing.
It's insane. But dude, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time. I love the record. I love the live version. I can't believe that was done like honestly in one afternoon. That blows my mind.
Well, thank you very much for listening to it, and thanks for talking, and thanks for the good questions, man.
Thank you. I have one more quick one for you.
Yeah.
If you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Um, if you can do anything else, do that. But if not, then just do it, and 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 have fun doing it. Because my trumpet player Ben always has this like total dad joke, and I fucking hate it, but it's true. He's just like, they call it playing for a reason, and but it's true, and you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. And but I think that's it, man, and just do what makes you happy, and everything else will fall in place. Bringing it back